We return now. If you're just joining us, this is our morning bulletin on MITV Plus. Let's turn to sports now, and I'm joined by our sports presenter, Kolade Okunola. Good morning, Kolade.
Good morning, Shegun. How are you today?
Trust you're doing good.
Very well, thank you.
Good to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure.
So, let's start with something that's still generating conversation a week later because the fight has come and gone, but the reactions are still there from all parties involved. The unfinished business, the celebrity boxing rematch between Portable and Charles Okocha held at the Bamora Convention Center in Lagos last Friday. You know, the fight quickly descended into a wrestling-style scuffle, and it got many people asking questions that are we watching boxing or some sort of traditional wrestling, you know, with Portable eventually walking out of the ring during the opening round and refusing to continue, handing Okocha victory by disqualification. So it reversed their first encounter back in 2023, and that's what made this particular one a rematch. So, and you know, in 2023, Portable won that. So this time around, Okocha winning by disqualification because Portable walked away. So a week on, I want to have your honest take now, your own honest take.
Okay.
Genuine sporting rivalry or pure entertainment? How do you place it?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I'm very sure the organizers of that event wanted it to be, you know, a version of the celebrity boxing exhibition games that happens all over the world. But then, because of the people involved, which is Portable and Okocha, they are both very, you know, yes, they are very influential people on social media, and the views are there. You know, the such games involving such boxers are going to, you know, bring a lot of attention and traffic for the event organizers. But then it doesn't remove the fact that it was supposed to be an entertainment and a proper boxing bout. But then for someone like Portable, who likes to, you know, go over the moon, do excesses and stuff like that, I think he has he made it. He took the joke out of, you know, he took the joke to the next level, which wasn't supposed to be. He was supposed to be an official about, yes, get beaten in the ring, 2-3 rounds, fine. But then he made it, well, with the way he made it. And disqualification is the next thing in that kind of instance. And I'm sure I like Portable, you know, he lives off controversy. So is it that you beat him fair square in the ring, or he does that and gets disqualified? Either way, he's going to make a song out of it. It's going to make a whole lot of drama out of it. He already did, right? You know, it's going to make a whole lot of drama out of it. So, well, I think it's still, the purpose for the event was still, you know, met, which is to be entertained and stuff like that then. But I think it's not going to be a rivalry we'll get to see. But I know Portable will call out the organizers of the event to have probably a rematch with, there's not like a rematch anymore. It might just come up with the fact that Charles Okocha, I think he came up with that story that Charles Okocha beats him.
Yes.
So when that kind of conversation comes up, then the organizers can say, oh, let's have a match. But I don't think it's going to come anytime soon. So it's pure entertainment for me.
So before we go into the rivalry, because some might not accept there's a rivalry here, but I'm beginning to see it in that light. But before we get into that, as an investor, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, let's look at it from the perspective of an investor now. Do you think you would want someone like Portable for such an encounter? Because millions were spent to put that together, and you just walk out at that point. I understand his management put up a press release, you know, addressing that situation and apologizing for how things turned out. So from an investor perspective now, do you think they will want Portable on such platforms again?
Well, the thing is, if you don't want Portable, Portable wants you. So I'm very sure that the organizers, yes, I'm seeing them mooting the fight between Kata Efe and Charles Okocha. If that kind of fight comes up, I'm sure it won't get the hype that the one with Portable and Charles Okocha got. Portable is a very sellable celebrity. So the organizers, I'm sure, would always want Portable again at some time in the future. But I'm sure they will move on from that fight to another celebrity fight, because already they've established that celebrity boxing, you know, exhibition games and all. And the event, I'm sure the organizers will not want to back out now, because it's really a very good one for them, and the turnout is always very massive.
Okay, now let's go back to the rivalry itself. Portable disputed the results, saying no, a lot of things went wrong in the fight. There was no way I would have continued the fight, insisting that he won. I don't even know
That's
how
like,
it concluded,
that's
despite the official decision.
all right.
Okocha, on his own part, also celebrated, and he has now moved on to challenge Kata Efe,
Yeah.
another popular influencer,
influencer, yes.
to another celebrity boxing match. So where does this rivalry go from here? Is celebrity boxing getting to a point that draws more attention than before? Or is it just going to keep going through the same phase? Or should we expect something bigger, on the celebrity boxing stage?
It depends on how well the organizers can convince other celebrities that are interested in this. I'm sure a lot of celebrities are looking forward to this. Let's just take this rivalry off music. Let's take it to the ring. Let's
Into the
beat
ring, yeah.
ourselves
If
proper.
we have issues to sort
Let's
out.
take it to the ring and beat ourselves proper. But at the same time, you might think you get to the ring and beat that rival, and you get there and get beaten. But it all boils down to the fact that organizers should be able to, convince celebrities who are interested, because I'm sure not all celebrities are interested in this kind of, boxing bout. But see, the influencers and these guys that have been in it so far, they are guys that need these clicks. They're guys that need to be seen every day on the screen. It's not like they make music. Okay, fine, Portable makes music, but every other person, Okocha, Ife, they're streamers.
Yeah.
So if this goes on like this, I'm sure the organizers won't want to stop now. They started well, and so far the traffic, the attention they've gotten is really positive. So I'm sure it's not going to
So
really
maybe
end.
we should be
We
expecting
should be
more
expecting-
celebrities.
Yeah. So if we don't start with Kata Efe and Charles Okocha, I'm sure somebody will come out from anywhere and say, I want to challenge Charles Okocha to those belts, because those belts also come with some prize money, So and for the fact that an event center like Balmora, events and production has put their hands into this, which this has been its second edition, and they have the platform for it. They have the platform
And
for
it's
it,
getting traction.
and it's getting traction. I think they want to continue, and it's just that we don't know what the celebrities are going to come up with. But the more they bring in celebrities for this fight, the more bigger they get.
I'm very sure they will not involve someone like Small Doctor, because he has practiced professional boxing to an extent. So-
No, they will. Someone like
But do you think that would be a fair advantage?
I think it
That-
would be
do you
very
think it
fair.
would be fair enough?
Of course,
To have someone who has
he's
boxed.
also a musician, and he's just that he loves boxing, so he trains as a boxer. It doesn't mean he's a professional boxer.
So how do you pitch him against someone who barely does that to that level? Do you think it would be fair?
They had about 3 months to that fight. So 3 months to practice boxing is not too small for you. If you really know
Well,
what
but
you're
I
doing.
believe
But
no.
unfortunately, some of us have been training for like
So
years.
maybe if you are going to take like a Small Doctor,
He's going to beat anybody.
probably you bring maybe like a Mr. Ri or another street guy, or maybe a Daniel.
No, I think the Kata Efe can be dangerous to anybody.
because of
He fights like a bull, he just throws his punch, and he has a very heavy hand.
but you can't compare that with someone
That
who
trained
really
for-
knows how to go.
And I actually know.
He knows where, because if someone who has done it back to back knows where to hit.
I
and that's just
actually, I
it.
actually know Small Doctor's coach, and he brags about it that if Small Doctor catches anybody, he will kill anybody. As in, he's so good, and so like you said, Small Doctor will also be a very good market for the event organizers, and we're gonna have a proper boxing match with someone like that. I think he's a very good shot. Small Doctor.
I'm pretty sure maybe they have it in mind. Probably they are just still looking for
for
his match.
a match, a viable match, not just someone.
So
that
not someone that would go. That person might not survive the
and
first
turn into
round.
wrestling.
All right, let's move away from boxing now,
right.
and let's go to football. It's raining transfer all around Europe currently.
Yes.
And one of the biggest transfer news of the week is Mohamed Salah,
Yes.
the Egyptian king, moving from Liverpool to Trabzonspor in Turkey on a free transfer after spending about 9 years, thereabouts,
9
at
years.
Anfield. A 2-year contract with Trabzonspor after leaving Liverpool, and report says it's one of the biggest transfers in the club's history. Talking about Trabzonspor now.
Yes.
One of the things people are saying is that since Victor Osimhen moved to Turkey, they've been able to attract big names in that particular league. But let's stay on Salah now. What does landing a player of Salah's stature actually mean for Trabzonspor, both on the pitch and commercially?
Well, I'll speak from the commercial aspect first, because already it's one of the things we've witnessed, which is the reception he got at the airport when he when he landed in Turkey. That's not even Trabzonspor's gate. That's the Turkish International Airport where he landed. And there were lots of fans there, about 50,000 thereabout fans, who actually almost disrupted the activities of the airport because they want to go see Mohamed Salah, first. And it means commercial aspect for that signing is a perfect signing. Trabzonspor, they're a big club in Italy, in the Turkish league too, and they're due for a big signing like Salah. Fortunately for them, they have a proven goal scorer in the squad who probably just needs extra firepower around him to challenge properly for the league. And from the sporting angle, Salah still has a lot to deliver to. At 34, he's not past his. Well, yeah, let's say he's done his beats in the English Premier League, but we can't say he's past his prime yet because 2 years ago he had a very, very wonderful season, and last year he had ups and downs, and probably because of his contract situation and stuff like that. But towards the end of the season, when he knew he was leaving, we saw the Salah that we were used to. Come up with the goals and the assists. So I think a happy Salah is a very good footballer, where you expect a lot of goals and assists from. And I think the club that signed him and are ready to pay him that kind of amount of money, I'm sure they're going to get the value for their money on the pitch, and they're going to get the value for their money in terms of commercial activities too.
So the combination, Paul Onuachu, the Nigerian international who also plays for Trabzonspor as a forward. So the Salah Onuachu combination, do you think it will give Turkish defenders some sleepless nights?
Yeah, a lot of sleepless nights, because already Paul Onuachu, with the services he gets from his midfielders and the wingers at his disposal, he was able to be clinch the golden boots for this season. And it means in the last 2 seasons, been Nigerians leading the goal scoring charts in Turkey. Osimhen was there last 2 seasons, and Onuachu last season. And it means Salah is there to probably, have a jig up in that golden boot race, because you can't count Salah out. Salah has been a golden boot recipient 4 times in the Premier League, which is one of the most difficult leagues in the world. And for him to be in that league, I'm sure the services he's going to get from that team, even Onuachu will benefit positively from that combination. And we can't decide we can't say for sure yet what the end of the season will look like. But it's a very good sign, and the guys at the top, the Galatasaray, they should be wary of that team and what they can offer, because Salah still has a lot to prove. He's 34, and yes, Salah has been a very wonderful professional. The way he has kept his body, the way he has, been, Salah has always had ups and downs, but like I said, a happy Salah is always a better version of Salah.
Better version.
So with this contract that has been offered, I hope he's happy, and I hope we get a happy version of a very active Salah.
All right, still talking transfers, Arsenal and Vinicius. It's been very dramatic. Yeah. Arsenal doing everything possible to get that man, Vinicius Jr. At some point, Vinicius Jr.'s camp are saying, okay, he will stay, but not renewing his contract. So what does this mean for Vinicius Jr. as a player and for Real Madrid as a team, knowing that if Vinicius Jr. doesn't put pen to paper, he might just walk away for free next season? So let's look at it from the football perspective and from the commercial perspective. Is it not better to just let him have his way and not just keep him and let him go for free? Someone of that stature.
I think from the commercial part of that conversation, Vinicius has done his part for Real Madrid. He's one of the highest selling jersey merchandise, owner in Madrid. As in this present squad, apart from Mbappe and some other players, I don't think anybody sells as much merchandise as Vinicius does. But then Vinicius got what he wanted. I put it to you that just last night, Vinicius has put pen to paper for contract extension at Real Madrid. And I think he used Arsenal to get that deal. When the player feels wanted by a club, he knows. And when the player feels, oh, you guys are playing with me, I know my value, I know what I can bring to the table, then I want to leave. So he tried to use, it's not the first time star players are using that, that,
so they try to give you the feeling that they are leaving, so they could get something.
So you sit up. In Madrid without Vinicius, in this first season of Jose Mourinho, who just joined this summer will be very
You
difficult.
know, you don't want to lose one of your best.
You don't want to lose your
players.
best. He's a very decisive player. He's one of the most decisive players in world football today. And for a coach like Mourinho, who loves to, play on the counter attack, loves to defend deep and probably bust out of pace. You having the Vinicius on the left, and they signed the Diomande recently too
Yes,
for
yeah.
140 million
Million pounds,
pounds on the right, and Mbappe in the middle. You can defend all day and just wait for the counter attack, and you could make a difference. So this is a guy that, if I was a coach, I'll tell the management, make sure that guy doesn't go.
Break the bank.
Make sure you break that bank for that guy. And what he's demanding for is not too much. He's been demanding for that for a long time. He feels that's what his value is to Real Madrid. And Real Madrid were thinking, we could go less, we could negotiate. And he stood his ground. They've been on it for over 2 years. But the selling part, the best part I love of this whole drama is where he used Arsenal as a bait. Arsenal were already coming with about 120 million pounds. And they were ready to offer him that salary that he wanted at Real Madrid. So it means if Arsenal is offering me this salary, you can offer me this salary.
Offer me.
So, and he got what he wanted eventually. Last night it was, declared a year ago that he had signed a contract extension for 4 years at Real Madrid.
Wow. I know that's not one news some Arsenal fans want to.
They can't be happy about that news. Because with the Vinicius in the Arsenal squad, it's going to be very...
Lots of Arsenal legends were reacting to that news already.
Yeah.
That guys, let's go all out and let's get this deal. Like, if you can get this deal, we know Guimaraes in
Newcastle,
from Newcastle to Arsenal is almost a done deal for about 70 million pounds or thereabouts. Yes. So the picture of Vinicius coming into the attack is already giving some Arsenal fans something to dream for.
So much joy. No, they're already talking about winning the Champions League.
Because it was looking as if Vinicius is just missing part of the puzzle for them. But that's gone, and I think they just have to.
It's too late now.
It's too late. They have
probably wait for him after he becomes a free agent in the next 4 years.
By then, the juice, Real Madrid would have used
the proper juice
out of that man called Vinicius Junior. Okay, and let's just move away to something else now because of time constraints. Let's move to the Super Falcons, the Nigeria Super Falcons, who are through to the WAFCON quarterfinals.
Yes.
The WAFCON going on right now in Rabat, in Morocco, generally, as a country. So, the emphatic win, 6-2 over Egypt. That particular match day was a very dramatic one because when you are, the results from a match is determining what's happening at the other match. Things were happening vis-a-vis, and people were comparing results. A goal here that is making a team rejoice is giving another team a heartbreak elsewhere. In fact, at some point, I think Zambia, at some point, they were leading, but they still didn't know that their position on the log was not favorable.
Yes.
So you are playing and at the same time monitoring what's happening elsewhere on that particular match day. So now, the Super Falcons, they call them the 10-star generals because they've lifted this trophy 10 times.
Yeah.
They are definitely the reigning champions in Africa. If you've done something for 10 years on 10 different occasions, you are not a small fish. Now, they are going to the next stage of the competition where they will face Cameroon.
Yes.
Yeah. So they want to extend their title to the 11th title after that shaky start against Malawi. With what you have seen personally, now your personal opinion, with how there was a bit of struggling, from the shaky start against Malawi to the very difficult win against Zambia before they had that emphatic win against Egypt. Do you see the Falcons doing something extraordinary going forward in this competition?
Yeah, the Falcons are 10 times champion for a reason. And the unfortunate thing is we're not used to having them losing the first game of a tournament. That's why Nigerians were so scared. And but I must confess to you, from the second game, I think the Nigerian contingents have been very, very, very good. They saw that opportunity to amass 6 points from that group, which is really important. And the most interesting part of that conversation also is just that they were able to, get that much number of goals in the final game of that group stage. You know, they were. It felt like it was going to be the end, of the road for Nigerian contingent. But then it was something that they made us proud. They scored 6 goals in that game, and I remember, yes, like you said, during the game, there was a time Malawi was the first in the group. They were going into that final group game. They were actually the first in the group on the log. Nigeria was second. Zambia was third. But knowing that the final decisions will be made by head-to-head, and shortly after head-to-head, they use the goal difference if head-to-head is equal, we knew there was something up for Nigeria if they could score a lot of goals against Egypt, and they did. You know, about the shaky stats, Nigerians were not. Someone like me was not. I wasn't carried away because they started scoring at the 70th minute, which is kind of unusual, to score that kind of goals against Nigeria. But I think on our show on Sports Day, I and my colleague talked about it, and we talked about the fact that the goalkeeper had a very bad day. Doesn't mean the whole team had a bad day, right? And goalkeeper having a bad day doesn't. It's not a one-off thing. It's something that happens a couple of times. It happens a lot in games. And we talked about changing personnel after that first game. Probably those guys on the field were not informed. The coaches felt they were the right personnel, probably prior to the tournament. But when the tournament starts proper, with something they call tournament fever, stuff like that, it could catch any footballer, no matter how experienced you are. But I think with experience, you move out of that tournament fever. But the defense they had that day felt they played like they were playing their debut for the Super Falcons, which was really shocking. But they turned the leaf and had a very good second game, which the head-to-head was one of the reasons. The win against Zambia 1-0 was one of the reasons why we qualified in the first place. And the last game against Egypt, they did what they had to do, scored 6 goals, although they conceded 2. At the time when the score was 2-1, it was very scary. We were third at that time, and it felt like we're not going to qualify. But then they turned the gear up and delivered on the promise they made to Nigerians that they were going to qualify from the group.
So, in one word now, should we be expecting the Super Falcons all the way at the final?
Yes. I think they learn from their mistake very fast. It's something that good teams do. You make mistakes in the first game. Spain did at the World Cup. They drew their first game and they ended up winning the tournament. So it's not the first time we've seen strong nations have a terrible first game and go on to win the tournament. Nigeria for Super Falcons for certain have what it takes to win this tournament again, because I don't see any opponents worthy of that firepower the Super Falcons carry.
All right, let's hope the Falcons can
They will
pull
deliver.
some magic
They
and
will
make us
deliver.
proud for the 11th time.
11th time.
Now let's talk athletics. The Commonwealth Games has come and gone, and now all attention is now on the World Athletics Under 20 Championship, where young athletes are being discovered and unveiled. And finally, Team Nigeria is out in Eugene, Oregon, competing at this championship, looking to bounce back after a medal-less opening day. That saw the country miss out on both the 100-meter finals and the mixed 4x400-meter relay.
Yeah.
Attention now shifts to the 400-meter event. So, Kolade, is there anything in this young athletics squad that gives you real confidence, heading into the rest of the championship? We saw what the big boys, the big ladies, the big women did at the Commonwealth. So for the young athletes, do you think we are building enough for the future?
Yes, I think we're doing very well in that aspect. We're building for the future. But then don't forget that under 20 championship, these guys have not been exposed. Unlike the Commonwealth Games, where we had about 3 weeks of preparation at somewhere in Scotland, in Aberdeen, close to where the Glasgow event was, took place. The preparation from those guys were like top notch. They also said it themselves. This is one of the tournaments they've had where preparation was really, really, really on the A level. But then these guys under 20, all their training has been in Nigeria. You can't compare the training facilities they're exposed to at this level of their career to what other athletes around the world are exposed to before this tournament started. And it's going to have a very, very big. It's going to have a very big influence in the results and how they, attack these games in the tournament. But then we still have high hopes for some of our contingents who represented Nigeria in this competition. And the likes of Jessica Oji, she's qualified impressively for the women's shot put final. and we're looking forward to that. She could get a medal in that, and we hope she gets gold, to give others the morale to see they could do. We have Miracle Ezechuku too. She's a leading sprinter and she's also in the final. We also have in the mixed 400 4x4 relay. We also have a team comprising of Dominion Udo, Jacinta Lawrence, Perfect Fire, and Faith Izuchukwu, also heading to the final. So there's high hopes for today's games. Let's see what today's results, those are qualified to the final already. Let's see what they bring onto the table today in terms of medals. But then I will not pull out the fact that the preparation against the teams that they are competing against at the competition is not on the same level.
So we've been having this particular discussion for years, talking about the administration of sports in Nigeria, especially when it comes to building from the young age all the way till they become full-blown professionals.
Yes.
Compared to the rest of the world where they try to catch them young, provide everything they need, give them good platforms, good exposure.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a way out of this sport administration and the way we build, the way we build from scratch in this part of the world? What's the way forward? Why do we keep having this issue of athletes from overseas representing us at best? Because most times when you see athletes who are really doing well,
Yeah.
if you investigate properly, you realize they are athletes who are based abroad, doing everything possible from their own personal efforts abroad, probably athletes from the NCAA, athletes from the universities, the colleges abroad, athletes who have been outside the country for a while. It's always very difficult to pinpoint one or two athletes who were raised here, who have been practicing here, who have been doing all sorts here, going on to bring in those medals. So sport administration as a whole, how do you rate it, especially athletics?
Well, the Athletics Federation have tried to have continuity in development of these athletes, but it's so unfortunate that they wish to do that, to have that continuity. I think they want to have it, but then, like I said, the enabling environment for that is not presently in Nigeria, right? Imagine an athlete who should be training on a very smooth track, probably indoor track, having to be exposed to outdoor tracks every now and then, training disrupted, no proper coaching, no proper academy to, follow up on these guys that are started with under 15s, under 20s. Once you get to under 20, for example, and you get exposed to a Eugene competition as this, and you see how athletes of your age are competing, and you get to see how they train too. It will be unpatriotic for you not to wish Nigeria had that kind of.
When you see life in another shade,
You feel Nigeria. I should be training in this kind of environment. What's happening? And then when you get the opportunity to probably stay abroad, and or you get the opportunity to not to return, because we've had cases where athletes go in to represent the country and don't get to return. When you don't get to return as an under 20 and you train yourself really hard in that 5 years, you do well, and they see that you're doing well and they know that you absconded at a time, sometimes 5 years ago, they invite you back to compete for Nigeria. This time around, you're coming back as a king because you're trained for 4 or 5 years in a very good environment, a very good training facility, a world-class training facility, and others that were born abroad too, that had the opportunity to train on these facilities from their very, very tender age. Also, who are not being eligible, they are eligible to compete for Nigeria and the country where they are, but they choose to compete for Nigeria. So such athletes are those ones that the Nigerian Federation, they run to, like, oh yeah, come and represent us. Now the sad thing is we have a lot of athletes here who could do better than those guys there, but the training facilities and the preparation has limited what they can offer. So it becomes this call on the governing body to make an enabling environment in every state of Nigeria where these athletes can train at least something very close to what the world, what their contingents all around the world are training with. When this happens, you'd realize that we're gonna be able to groom a lot of homegrown athletes who would match any international athletes pound for pound. But I won't lie to you, it all comes from the training. the will is there, the zeal is there, the talent is there. But if you don't train properly in these games, you don't get to perform properly or perform at your best at the competition. So it comes from the training facilities and being able to keep these players from the under 15, under 20, till they get to the to the main teams of whatever sports they represent. But it takes a lot to groom them and be able to nurture them in the right environment. Is that enabling right environment that is lacking in Nigeria presently, which makes the international contingents who are eligible to represent us, more viable to represent us.
All right, you made reference to something. I didn't plan to get there,
Right.
but you you drew me there,
Right.
which is athletes going away.
Oh, absconding.
Absconding.
Okay.
So I think we had that at the Commonwealth Games.
Yes, we did.
Recently, there are reports that some athletes from Pakistan, some from Uganda, who went missing, and they missed their flights back home. And in fact, a particular athlete told reporters that he wants to seek asylum. Now, do you think an end is in sight for such situations where athletes just abscond when they go for these games abroad?
I don't think an end is in sight for that because but then for Nigeria, I think the NFF and the Nigeria Sports Commission, who are in charge of the Nigerian athletes who travel abroad, have been able to, especially with this dispensation of this present government, who has been able to keep to their promises when it comes to delivering, giving these athletes their bonuses or what they deserve for representing their country. It has given these athletes a sense of belonging. It's giving them this sense of, yes, we are wanted. The guys that competed at the Commonwealth Games, they were promised $10,000 for gold, 5,000 for silver, and 3,000 for bronze. And the first day we had 3 gold medal from a couple of sports, and they even publicized it. They handed them $5,000 check and promised to pay the 5,000 into their account. And we said it on our show on Sports Day on MITV. Sports Day on I think on the first day of the tournament, where I think it was the second day now we had our show. We talked about the fact that they made a promise for the first time, and we are seeing that they are delivering on their promise. They actually gave these guys the check of $5,000 and promised to pay the 5,000 to the account. And we talked about that being a motivation, being a morale boosting.
That if you can perform,
you get.
You don't have to abscond.
Don't abscond. You get your money. And imagine $10,000. What to do for an athlete in Nigeria, knowing that if you do well, you're going to represent Nigeria in the next tournament again. But then absconding is something we cannot cut off.
It's a human desire.
Yeah, it's a human desire. And think about the Uganda guys. I saw them. I was like, you can abscond.
There's nothing to take home. All right. So finally, before I let you go, pulling all of this together now, the celebrity boxing drama, the Mackay transfer to Turkey from Mohamed Salah, Nigeria chasing medal on 2 fronts in Eugene and also at the WAFCON. So what story do you think deserves more attention that it is getting this week? What's your story of the week?
My story of the week will be the Nigerian team qualifying for the quarterfinals. A lot of people thought that would not happen. And a lot of thinking about the permutations, we knew we had to score a lot of goals. But how we're going to do it? Egypt they're not going to let us just throw the balls into the net. But it brought a lot of joy to Nigerians that they were able to win that game. And going forward, playing against Cameroon, yes, we know that that's the must-win game too. There's a lot tied to this game, to this WAFCON. We're chasing our 11th title, and we also want to qualify for the World Cup. So the semi-final is the least we can do.
Let's see how far the Super Falcons can go. Kolade, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the program.
You're welcome.
All right, that was an insightful one with Kolade Okunlola, our sport presenter.